whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Whoa.
Live. Jax Falcone. Falcone.
I should tell everybody I'm here. They can go check it out.
It's been a while since we talked.
Oh, one whole week.
Yeah, one whole giant week.
Yeah.
We did a show for it's called the Undrafted Show, right?
Yeah, my show.
With the Undroppables, right? So you're with the Undroppables and you have a show called The Undrafted.
Yep, Undrafted. Yep, the Undrafted. I don't know why we put the in there. What's the doing? There's no but I mean there is a the. I don't know. We're gonna have to edit the out.
We might have to edit this part of the podcast out.
Really?
We're already starting to get banal. You and I are we're already talking about shit no one cares about. We're a minute in.
Well, the best soundbite of the last show was me and you talking about eating a new era ball cap. So what the hell, you know?
That's right. We ate a freaking hat.
Yeah.
Yes, we ate a hat. Yeah, indeed. And
you had the transition of all transitions. Chris
We've already got people in the chat talking about Sloppy Joes because on the Sonic Truth show, a woman was sending nudes to a high school student, and she just happened to be the lunch lady. And this was in Connecticut. This is down the street from me. This lunch lady was sending nudes, and then so we ended up spiraling and talking about it for way too long on the Sonic Truth podcast, talking about, okay, was it Sloppy Joe's? What do you think she was serving when they first started talking?
I'm afraid to say anything.
Would it be nuggets?
I think it might be. I mean, you're catching me off guard with the Sloppy Joe naked lunch lady talk. I mean, the thing about it is, if any of the lunch ladies when I was growing up sent me nudes, it would have not have been a good thing. That would have been bad.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. This is why these things go viral. What happens is, and this is something that happens with music too, and I've heard about it with music, is if there's a surprise, a lot of times if you hear a surprise in a song, something that's out of place, either it's a missing beat or it's a piece of music that you just would never expect to hear, but it works.
Okay.
It gets your attention. Right? It's like, okay, lunch lady sending nudes, big deal. But if the lunch lady actually doesn't look like a normal lunch lady, right? If there's some steam there, it's like, okay. Now you've changed my whole paradigm of lunch ladies and nudes, and now I'm interested. So if you just throw a curveball, that's also with comedy.
Let me just
you're talking about one thing, and then if you take a quick detour, right, and you kind of set something up to say, hey, we're going to go down in this road. I'm about to say this, and you're going to expect that, and then I just dropped a big surprise on your head, and then suddenly, oh wow, you're compelled. Suddenly you're laughing. Suddenly you're interested. And that's how things go viral on the internet too. Mm-hmm. It's just a surprise.
Just to be clear, Matt. No matter how good looking the lunch lady was, if she did send me nudes, I would have looked. I'm just going to be brutally honest.
Of course you're looking.
Just looking.
Of course you're looking. Of course. Now, we can't do this again. I got yelled at on the last show. People said, this is taking way too long. This is dragging. Okay. You guys are digging in on this. I find it fascinating. Alan was, you know Alan Soslowski?
Yes. I've been listening to your show. Sure.
He's incorrigible.
Trevor Lawrence over Javonte Williams in a one quarterback league somehow turned out for him. It's the biggest turnaround of all time. You had me in the first half, but that the whole meme.
What was that for him? What's the equivalent? Is that if you that's like hitting a 5 on 16?
Inside straight. Yeah, it's like an inside straight.
It's an inside straight, or it's hitting a 5 on 16. It's one of those.
Give me the 5 of clubs. Oh, look at that!
Yeah, 5 of clubs. Oh, he got it. See it. Congratulations, Alan.
I'm a winner.
He's a winner. The results.
I'm a winner.
Process. It's a result.
Dude. Check the fucking tape, bro.
Dude, you hit on you got your 7 on your inside straight. You got your 5 on your 16.
Pass the sugar.
Fucking Alan, man. And and he will, if I tee him up on these things, he will say really inappropriate stuff.
Ooh,
and so that's my whole thing. I'm asking the audience, hey, send us more crazy stories, and we'll just put them out there, put them on the screen, and see what Alan says. And he's probably going to say something crazy.
Love it.
We already have emails from people saying, this went too far. And,
that's when you know you're doing it right.
I was like, well, I guess that was good radio.
Yeah, that's when you know you're doing it right. When you start getting letters.
I get a long email from people like, hey, listen, you guys got to really,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe this is good.
Yeah.
Maybe this is good.
I lost one listener, but that's all right.
Email us, podfather@rotounderworld.com, and I will throw it up on the screen, and we will get Alan to react in a way that's going to make Theo and I very uncomfortable in a good way.
Love Theo.
You make people uncomfortable on social media.
I try.
You do a good job.
I try. Thank you. Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
I just
Did I block you at one point? Didn't I block you at one point?
Yeah. I came after you about JT. Sorry about that.
What happened?
Well, you were in a block spree, and I got caught up in the shrapnel.
Was I in a block spree? What happened?
Yes.
You know what that might have been? There was I actually got a little bit for about an hour.
Yeah.
This is what happened. So I wrote this post about me being the Colossus, and basically wielding an incredible responsibility and power, and having given more takes and putting out more information on players than anyone could possibly in a lifetime. And how dare you? Right?
How dare you?
And it was tongue in cheek, right? Obviously, it was tongue in cheek to anyone that's been listening to the show or knows me at all, been paying attention at all. But then, see, if something gets quote tweeted by people with bad intentions, and it gets in front of people that don't know anything about you, they just take it seriously. They take it on face value, which is what trolls do every day on Twitter and social media, and it's great. It's great. But what happened to me was I was like, well, I wasn't trying to troll. I was sort of just trying to put this out there in like a tongue-in-cheek way, and then all of the sudden, I got just blasted. Anytime you look and you have over 100 quote tweets on your tweet, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
So here's what happened. Very simple. You had oh my God, what's the guy's name? I can't remember his name. Ball or something like that. What's that guy's last name? Anyway,
Ball?
No, it was not Monty Ball. Anyway, you had this guy on your show. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm losing my mind. I'm old.
LaMelo Ball?
It was LaMelo. So anyway, listen.
LeVar.
Now you got me confused. But listen, you had him on the show, and you guys called JT a bust. He called JT Monty Ball, and then I can't remember who the hell it was.
Okay.
Do you remember this? And then then you have a
it was listen, Dan Bach from Roto Grinders.
Dan Bach.
Dan Bach. Yes.
Listen,
he was comparing him to Trent Richardson, and that's what happened.
And worse, he was calling him awful. And you basically were like, look, you were kind of playing both ways. You have a podcast, you have a million things, but you did let the words JT is a bust slip out of your mouth. And you meant for that season, not for Dynasty, but you said it. So, of course, you were on Twitter, and I said, the thing that got me blocked said, you said JT was a bust. That's it. That was the tweet. I just said it. I was like, hello. And you were like, just block. You were just like, I was like, oh shit, I got caught up in the shrapnel of Blockfest. So yeah.
Well, that was right around the same time of this whole Colossus thing.
It was great.
I think that's what happened. And so there was an hour there where I saw the quote tweets coming in.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, who does this guy think he is? This is what's wrong with fantasy. Like all this stuff.
That part. Yeah, that part I liked.
And so there was about an hour there. I remember where I was. I remember like how I was feeling at the time. And I was like, oh, this feels bad. I don't like this. This is bad.
Right.
I don't like this. I thought I was ready for this. Like I thought one day this could happen to me. And, I could get some serious blowback. And all these people are, mocking me and saying that people should unfollow me and I should be ashamed of myself and all these things. All classic. It was just classic, right? Classic.
Yeah. Pile on.
It was a pylon, and for about an hour, I was a little bit like a deer in the headlights, panicking. And then all of a sudden, it just dawned on me. I was like, what am I doing
Fuck
here?
everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
This is Twitter.
Yes,
this doesn't matter.
At all.
This is great. I am the Colossus.
Yes.
You can go fuck yourself. So I immediately just started retweeting all of these quote tweets. Just retweet one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, you have to lean into this.
You have to.
You have to lean into this. And at some point, somehow, in that period, I probably blocked you because there was an increased level of sensitivity. But then I came out on the other side. It was a really good hardening and a stress test for me. Now, if that ever happens again, it's easy. But the first time, it's tough.
Well, the more followers you get, the more like just trolls, I guess. I guess that's the right word. Whatever. People just are just trying to get their joke off to at your expense, and so you have to kind of like, I mean, you either have to take it or block them or whatever. I mean, you have to draw that line at some point because you can't just have like people like circling around you, just literally just pecking at you all the time because it's not fun. If someone's smart, I've heard you say it too. If you're smart and funny and witty, I'm fine with it. I'm fine being called out. I'm fine being told that my Terrace Marshall takes are awful or whatever. All that stuff, it's all fine because you're going to be wrong. What do you expect to be right 100% of the time? So anybody who's picking on me for bad takes, I absolutely lean into it. I love it. And you said it right. You just got to lean in. And I think that's exactly what you do. You just have fun with it. Fuck it. Yep. Lean right in, baby.
Guys. Hey.
Get it.
Hey. You want to talk about my Colossus tweet, please? Now it's in my bio.
Everybody rethinking their HD screen purchase idea.
Go fuck off. Yeah, just rethink the screen. So let's bring you in. What are we going to talk about? How are we going to bring you in?
I mean, Colossus, obviously. Colossus 2.
The Colossus 2? Is that really?
No.
Jax, that's what you got for us, Colossus 2?
No, let's just have fun. You're the fucking pro. Come on, I'm riding in your wake.
Okay.
Show me the way.
Show me the way.
Yes.
Okay.
As you have always done.
I'm glad you have your headphones on. Can you hear it? Right? I don't know what I'm going to say. I have no idea. I got to bring you in. You're a troll's troll. You're a virtuous troll. You're one of the best follows on Twitter. You're the best follow I ever unblocked. How about that?
Thank you.
That's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the Mind of Mansion program. The greatest troll that I've ever unblocked on Twitter. He knows his rookies from the Undroppables. That's right. Welcome to the Mind of Mansion program. It is Jax. Talk to me.
Yeah. That Falcone just sings right, don't it?
Felt good.
Felt real good. I mean, Falcone, that's why I picked it, because it's not my real name. But that name, just boom. I did it for this moment.
I was worried about my equipment there. I was worried about my microphone. I was worried about the wires. I was worried about the computer. I was worried about everything. I was like, geez, I better not just short everything out here. Like,
you stuck the landing. You nailed it. There's no doubt.
It was really good. It felt good. It felt great. I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
Giant, big, hairy show sheet.
Yeah. Start the timer now.
And for the podcast audience, you got to go to the outtakes to hear us talk about that time that I blocked Mr. Falcone and then unblocked him, and then the headspace I was in, and how I was almost canceled, and how I came back stronger than ever. It's all there.
Uncancelable.
It's all there.
From the undroppables, from the undrafted, we know uncancelable, and you are uncancelable.
Undrafted, undroppable, uncancelable. Mac Jones. Apparently, he's not untradeable.
Yeah, is that a question?
It's just a great turn of phrase.
Yeah, no, that's a good job. I think he is tradable, though, isn't he? To get to football, if we can, Mac Jones. I think it's real. Look, Bill Belichick started Bailey Zappi over Mac Jones. There was a quarterback controversy last year. However genuine it was last year, it happened. So there's definitely something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been enough smoke. Now there's some, reports coming out. Granted, Mike Florio, whatever, who knows what he knows. Someone's leaking something about the disconnect between, the Patriots and Mac Jones. So obviously we have to take that seriously. Hey, could this be a series of moves? Are they looking to set up something for Trey Lance or Lamar Jackson, or go with Bailey Zappi, bottom out? I don't know what the hell. I don't think they're bottoming out, but you know what I mean? There's a series of events that they could be planning that could be Mac Jones out of town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And if we go back, so do you remember like the 2021 draft and the 2020 college football season? And if you recall, there were two quarterbacks, and we've talked to Alan Seslowski at length about this draft, right?
Indeed.
Right. There were two quarterbacks in that 2021 draft that were the consensus 1-2, the guys that everyone was so excited about. The guys were like, hey, listen, yeah, maybe you like these quarterbacks or tell yourself a story about these quarterbacks, but the next draft class. It's always the next draft class, right? This is something you always preach. Hey, it's not actually the next draft class. The next draft class is always fake.
Yes.
In this particular case, it wasn't fake, right? This was a real deal. And then they tried to juke us out at the very end. They tried to say, you know what? There's actually not just these two guys that everyone wants, these two ultra premium prospects. There's 5 of them. Okay. And Justin Fields isn't necessarily the clear 1B, right? Because remember, for 2 years leading up to this draft, it was Lawrence and Fields, Fields and Lawrence, Lawrence and Fields, Fields and Lawrence, Lawrence and Fields, Fields and Lawrence, Lawrence and Fields, Fields and Lawrence. And then the draft happens and suddenly it's Lawrence, and then it's also Wilson, but then there's Trey Lance, and then Fields is in there, but also Mac Jones. And now, where are we?
It's Lawrence and Fields.
It's
this is where we are. It was Lawrence and Fields. We knew it was Lawrence and Fields.
Yeah.
When the Jets were saying when the Jets were locked into Zach Wilson, I remember thinking I took crazy pills. I was like, wait, what do you mean locked in? Like, you can consider maybe Zach Wilson. I don't know. Like, that doesn't even sound, I wouldn't even consider him. But when they were like, I'm like, locked in? What is this world coming to? Chris Sims legendarily had him as QB1 over Trevor Lawrence, so good for him. That's a great call. He had Kellen Mond over Justin Fields again. So the big media was that's true. Yeah, dude, that's true. And Trey Lance, he had Kellen Mond over Trey Lance and Justin Fields. That's true stuff. Sorry about that. But the whole time here we are, pragmatists, with Trevor Lawrence at 1 and Justin Fields at 2. And then I had kind of Mac Jones as my third quarterback in terms of NFL. Yeah. But of course, Trey Lance, if I was running a team at San Francisco, I'm taking Mac Jones, 3. It would have been Lawrence.
You're not trading
Fields.
up. You're just taking him
Correct.
wherever you were picking. Like, they were picking 13 or something.
But had I been in the 3 spot, it was Mac Jones. And I wouldn't have traded up to get Mac Jones. Agreeable, 100,000%.
Ridiculous.
As a matter of fact, think about how well Bill Belichick played. It just sat there at, 14 or 15? It was like, pick. Oh, Mac Jones, perfect. I'll do it. It's like just perfect.
He's a cool guy. He's cool. He's cool about Mac Jones. I mean, so yeah, Zach
cool
Wilson was the
Jones.
fakest. It turns out that Trey Lance is feeling faker than we would like. And now Mac Jones being fake is not a big deal to me because for fantasy, Mac Jones was never that valuable. Right. For Superflex, yes. He was someone that I wanted. And if I go back to some Superflex drafts where I have Mac Jones, I'll probably be upset about how high I drafted him, thinking this is one of the more bust-proof quarterbacks ever drafted in the teens, ever.
Right.
In the history of the NFL, this is not a Jordan Love situation, right?
Not at all, no.
Come on, man. And now I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll see what's going on here. I mean, they've had 2 years to evaluate him. I don't understand what's happening. My brain is melting thinking about the idea that Mac Jones is not a starter, given what he did at Alabama, given the numbers he put up, the efficiency
in year
he put
one,
up, and that he had a quality year one.
One.
He was more efficient than Trevor Lawrence in year one. He didn't have any weapons last year. So part of me thinks, okay, this guy, he is getting unfairly tainted by the inability to put any kind of weapons around him. You want to overspend on Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar? Well, guess what? Mac Jones is going to pay the price for that.
Yeah. If you're going to be tainted, you want it to be fairly tainted.
That's right. Unfairly tainted. That's another
you got
phrase.
The sound effect. Yeah,
He's
no,
phrasing.
you got the sound effect. Yeah, I mean, every
what
time I've ever been
what
tainted,
sound effect
it's
do we
been
need for that?
Felt unfair.
Do you think we need like is that like a boner sound effect?
It's either the toilet or the boner, depends on how close you are.
Oh boy, wow! This is like this. I'm getting
that.
Allen flashbacks here. I'm getting
You're
Allen
gonna get
flashbacks.
Letters.
So who's more likely to get traded? Is it Lance or is it Jones?
Doesn't it feel like it's Lance?
I think it's much more likely this whole Mac Jones thing is fake.
Right. Well, and I think the other part of that too is that I feel like San Francisco has more solid options, at least from their perspective. You know, they feel like we know what we're doing with Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. Obviously the Sam Darnold signing was somewhat dooming for Trey Lance because it didn't make very much sense. If they have already these two guys in, what is Sam Darnold's utility for that team? And it turns out it's somewhat injury insurance backup guy, but also it could be just, hey, if we trade Trey Lance, we now have our backup quarterback and a guy who can fill in if Purdy's not ready for week one. I had been asking Matt this whole time. I'm not an anti-Lance guy, but I was an anti-Lance ADP guy. He was often a round one superflex startup pick. Like, that's a very expensive asset. That's a sure thing. That's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Dak Prescott, right? He was flying way up there. Oftentimes, if not there, early round two superflex startups, right? And I just said this very simple question: are we sure that Trey Lance is any good? And people would get upset at that question. I asked that question on Twitter, and people get very upset about that question. It's a valid question. And now we're seeing that it's more valid than ever. I still don't know that he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. He may be great. The ceiling still exists. All of it's there, but it is chipping away every single day, every news cycle, every moment that he doesn't perform, it's more likely that he won't perform in the NFL. And that is sad.
I hate that anything is being chipped away without him playing a snap. It's annoying.
Sorry. It's true, though.
I know, but it's annoying. I would like him
of course
to go
it's
out
annoying.
And throw an interception.
Right.
Okay. I would like him to go out and throw a bunch of incompletions.
Sure. That'd be way better. I agree. Or succeed. I'd love to see it.
Good.
I want to see it, too.
This guy's played in a couple of games.
I know. It's a shame.
And you put that player, even if his decision-making isn't great, even if his information processing isn't great, in that offense, it doesn't need to be. But whenever the play breaks down, and you know what? In the NFL, the plays break down a lot. I feel like they have a tendency of breaking down. So it's really nice to have a guy that can shed tackles and run for a first down literally whenever you need that.
Yeah.
And then he also can just distribute to, it's like, remember they talk about like, Magic Johnson, right? The advantage whenever they put LeBron at point guard. The advantage of having a point guard that can survey the field and he can do all these things and he can shoot and he can do all these things. It's such an advantage to have that guy at point, like a point forward. Like some of these offenses in basketball, they're on a point forward system. It's such an advantage. The way KD's bringing the ball up, right? Good stuff, right? Very cool. Well, that's kind of like this, where it's like the advantage of having a playmaker like that, and then he can distribute, right? He can distribute to all these other playmakers, but when they need him, he can then go ahead and back someone down and get a clutch bucket. And that's the beauty, the theory, the original theory of the case for Trey Lance at 3, why they traded all those picks to get him. And I don't know what he's done to convince the 49ers that that vision is impossible to achieve.
Right. I agree with that. I will push back on the athleticism thing. Like, are we even sure he's yeah, there it is. I love this one. So I did a little thing where I looked at 10-yard or 8-yard rush rate. How many times did he run for over 8 or 10 yards? I can't remember where I cut it off. I just looked at, right, yeah, here it comes. And when I looked at like players like Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts, they're well over 20% of their runs were over 8 or 9 yards per run. And he's like 7%. He's really a plotter. He's never been explosive. He has no big plays. And he's had a number, people will say, oh, small sample. He's run the ball enough where if he were explosive, he would have some explosive plays on his resume, at least at some percentage above, some of these other guys. I bet you Daniel Jones, I haven't done all the players. I didn't look at it. It'd be probably a good study. If someone listening want to do it, go ahead and check it. Just check out like explosive run rate. You can look at 8 or 10, 20-yard run rate, whatever it is. He does not do well. He is a grinder when it comes to running the football. I don't think he's explosive. I don't think he's as athletic as these guys. I think he's a little bit more of a fullback than a tailback, if you will. And for those reasons, I don't think that he offers tremendous upside in that way. A little bit closer to a Cam Newton, Josh Allen, if you will, where he's going to run for power and score touchdowns. I'll give you that. But I don't think he's Lamar Jackson, Hurts, or Fields. I don't see that in the play. I don't see that in the player.
Well, Cam Newton was the number one fantasy quarterback at one
He's
point.
less athletic than Cam Newton. I'm just saying in terms of scoring touchdowns.
Okay, so
that's what I meant by that.
He played in one game essentially last year, and he rushed for 54 yards. In the other games where he's played any snaps at all, right? 3 other games, right?
Yeah. Okay.
He had 40, 90, and 30 rushing yards, and he had 1,100 rushing yards in college, but that was at North Dakota State. So you're saying the North Dakota State rushing doesn't matter?
I'm saying that he has not displayed big playability with his legs in the NFL at all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I have seen Justin Fields make some big plays.
That's for sure, bro.
Right?
That dude is that's an athlete.
And
that's an athlete.
It is true that Trey Lance at his pro day, he only ran a 4.64. I mean, that's fast, but it's not blazing. It's 80th percentile. That's why he's comparable to Matthew Stafford. That's as fast as Matthew Stafford.
Tremendous athlete.
Once upon a time, before he broke 17 clavicles, Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford, my goodness. I mean, poor son of a bitch. I mean, thankfully he's gotten a lot of money because he's got a lot of broken stuff.
He's many broken bones, yes. So that's an interesting point. That is the ceiling necessarily that high with Trey Lance? Maybe not.
Maybe not. The floor is there because he does rush. I will give you that.
Well, then, what the hell, man? Well, then, if they wanted this super versatile playmaker at quarterback, why not just draft Justin Fields, the proven one from Ohio State that had all the reps against high-level competition, that had an even faster 40 time?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to go ask people. I don't know. There was so many
strength. Is it just absolute cannon arm strength? Because that's also why they liked Zach Wilson. They said Zach Wilson has an incredibly strong arm.
Yeah.
Is that it? That must be it.
I don't know.
Just chasing naked arm strength. That must be what happened. That's the only
explanation. It does happen.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And now, because we have Josh Allen, we have a lot of NFL GMs that have been
chasing that, yeah.
Tainted by Josh Allen. He's broken brains.
Yeah.
Well, what percentage would you say? If you had to guess, what 25% of NFL GMs have had their brains broken by Josh Allen?
100%.
You think 100%?
Well, maybe like what Howie? Maybe not.
Maybe okay, so a lot more than that. Okay, I was trying to give him a lot of credit, right? So what about Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson, the Ravens don't appreciate him, so we have Mac Jones not appreciated, Trey Lance not appreciated, Lamar Jackson not appreciated. He'd already have his extension if he was fully appreciated. I know you appreciate Lamar Jackson. You would have extended him already. Where do you, Jax Falcone, want to see him play?
Well, I'm a Patriots fan, so I'd certainly trade Mac Jones, trade for Lamar. That'd be fantastic. Little Ramondre and Lamar Jackson backfield, RPO. Let's go. We don't have any receivers anyway, so we'll just let the tight ends, Mike Gesicki, my favorite player, everybody knows that, run wild. Not true. Run wild. New listeners are like, he likes Gesicki? No, not really. But
Thornton, like they can just run Thornton deep, right?
That's fun.
Clear out.
It's fun.
Yeah.
But I think, you had asked on the show sheet, and I was thinking about it. Where is he most likely play? I think he most likely plays in Baltimore. But I wonder now, Matt, if you had Baltimore versus the field, has the field now taken over 50%? Is it more likely that he's somewhere else, anywhere else than Baltimore? Because I still feel like the most likely place he plays is still Baltimore if you had to list all the teams, but I think it's less than 50% there, maybe.
What was the last time that a quarterback and his team were at an impasse like this where it was resolved and he ended up back with his original team?
Like all of them? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they seem to always do this, but not like this because they usually have an agent. We talked about it on my show.
Not like
where
this.
I thought we had a really good conversation about Lamar on our show. It was a lot of fun. You were great. But it was like, he's representing himself, so he's not tethered to the the NFL industrial complex, right? He's now a little bit more of an outsider, and I know people will say, "Oh, it's bullshit. It's because of this." I really believe that there's a certain amount of structural integrity to having an agent that just gets the deal done. We did a great little bit on it, so I do think that that's hurting him here. Information is harder to share in this situation. You have to talk directly to the player. I don't know. That's not Lamar's job. It's not his job to be negotiating all day, every day. Like his job is to make his body ready every day. So I think this is a challenge for him. And I think that's why Baltimore's playing it perfectly, as we talked about on my show again. And, so at this point, it's just, I think it's still very, very likely that we see Lamar finally get a deal done with Baltimore, get back in camp, and everything's fine. I really think that's very possible.
Can we just do that?
That'd be
so
better,
much
right?
Easier.
So much better.
I mean, that's just so much easier. That's so much easier.
Yeah.
So you would say that, like, much more likely that DeAndre Hopkins is gone.
By the way, I looked at this DeAndre Hopkins thing. Without looking, do you have any idea what his contract is this year?
They owe him what, $20 million in cash?
Over, yeah, it's like crazy. I was like, wait, what? Hold on, let me look. I just have it here. His cap number for 2023 is 29.9.
That's right. That's the cap number.
I was like, wait, if they release him, there's 21 million of dead money. So that may be a slight sticking point. Thank you very much.
It's an immediate restructure. The moment that he lands on whatever new team, I think he's going to land. Logically, the Cardinals are the last team he should be playing for.
Right, exactly.
Right, logically, it makes no sense. Just like it makes no sense for Mike Evans to play a snap for Tampa.
100%.
Makes no sense. Now, there's just a little more organizational loyalty, given that Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer that put up all of his Hall of Fame stats with Tampa.
Right there. That's right.
So there is some loyalty there. I mean, even Atlanta held on to Julio Jones a couple of years past when they probably should have.
Yeah.
So you understand it. You can see it.
Yes.
You can see why it happens. But it's like, if we're being rational here, we're being cool, cold, clinical about this, Mike Evans belongs anywhere else. Right? DeAndre Hopkins belongs anywhere else.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's like that dynasty team that, like, it's over and they just have a few dope pieces, but they've got zero chance of winning. They have like no running backs or whatever. They just like, they need to sell it all. They really do. They need to reset. Unless, of course, they draft your guy, Will Levis, then they're back up. They're running. They're just back in the playoffs. I love that guy. Sorry.
Will Levis had some issues with decision making in college.
Yeah. Like Bill Belichick.
Right. And, it's the ability to process information and make quick decisions.
Yeah.
Has plagued a lot of quarterbacks. I know, yes, Josh Allen figured it out after a couple of years. Zach Wilson, clearly not. Right?
Not yet.
The Bills saw a light at the end of the tunnel after year 2 with Allen. The Jets saw nothing.
Right.
No light bulb whatsoever. They're like, it's not happening.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean,
this guy's throwing to guys in double coverage when there's another guy wide open breaking away downfield. This is not happening.
I mean, maybe it's just Dayball. Just bring Dayball in, and he'll fix it all. I mean, 2 for 2.
You believe in that, right? You believe coaches can fix broken players every time, right?
Yeah, every time. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know your take here. I do have a little bit of pushback on your take, but I generally appreciate your take and think it's very, very smart. So,
Do you remember when Sam Darnold went to Carolina?
Yes. And he got out of Gaze.
This was the reason why he was a best ball pick. So that year, by the way, there were some highly regarded experts in the space that were going all in on Trey Lance and Sam Darnold as their quarterbacks in best ball. That was a thing that happened. And Trey Lance's ADP as a rookie was,
I'm telling you,
insane. I much preferred Trey Lance last year. When Trey Lance was being drafted in like round 13, I was like, yeah, this is where you take a chance on a guy that's unproven.
Yes.
That has an interesting ceiling in the right situation. Not in round 8 in best ball, like what was happening his rookie year. Like Trey Lance is the path to victory. That was the thing. And then you can easily then talk yourself into Sam Darnold. And why Sam Darnold? Oh well, he has Joe Brady. So
right.
It's so what I love is looking back just like 6 months. It's not like we need 5 years, Jax.
Right. Right.
We don't need to go back 5 years and be like, yeah, if we wait long enough, we'll be proven right. And some people are going to look real silly, but it's going to take a while. We'll have to write this down, put it in a time capsule. And like with these coach narratives,
yes,
they literally expire
tomorrow.
Yes,
exactly. Right.
Like, who is Joe Brady and who gives a shit? Why did anyone think he was good? Because he coached Joe Burrow.
And Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, you think that may have anything to do with how good he was as a coach? Possibly, maybe.
And he's going to fix Sam Darnold?
Could have been a top 3 NFL quarterback, and the 2 best wide receivers in the NFL were on his team. Possibly helped a little bit.
It was
maybe
the easiest take to mock I've ever heard. And it was to the point where I was riding my bike, and you're riding your bike and your mind just wanders into different places. And the idea that I felt compelled while I was pedaling to pull my phone out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is the dumbest position I've ever heard, that you're cool drafting Sam Darnold at his ADP, and it was rising every day. And it was all about Joe Brady. And I was like, this is why I was born.
Right.
Like,
for this moment.
Is it. I was so inspired that, again, I almost crashed my bike because I was like, I have to talk. This is crazy. And so, yes, that's something that I'm going to go to my grave, pushing back against this coach-centric analysis. Absolutely. And now we're getting a little bit more with Denver, right? So we know that Sean Payton coached Drew Brees,
one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time,
essentially the entirety of his head coaching career. He was telling Drew Brees just to go do Drew Brees things, and they won a Super Bowl. And that was cool. It was one of the better Super Bowl wins of all time, one of the greatest stories of all time. And now he's in Denver, and he's going to fix Russell Wilson. That's goes without saying.
Of course, obviously.
There's no doubt about that. Goes without saying. But then also that really helps. See, Sean Payton really helps Jerry Jeudy a lot. So you should really like Jerry Jeudy. But then all of a sudden it's such a bummer that you're into Jerry Jeudy, you're drafting him in best ball, you're so excited, right? Traded for him in Dynasty. And then all of a sudden there's these whispers that he might get traded. How do you feel about Jerry Jeudy? When I say Jerry Jeudy, reflex response, what do you think?
Is that a good one? That's a good one. No, I think Jerry Jeudy is one of those guys that, like, yeah, I think he was so hyped up, overhyped as a prospect that there's still a ton of, sort of, there's a hive, right, of people who still believe in Jerry Jeudy propping up his ADP. But I think there's enough of us who are very pragmatic who look at him and say he's just not an elite alpha, pushing down his ADP. So I think he's probably properly valued and he's worth shots there. But I agree with you that Sean Payton's not going to, if Sean Payton is the answer, that means that Samaje Perine is in line for 81 catches this year, because I think he's going to play the Kamara role.
I strike water. God damn you. Fuck off. Don't say shit like that when I take a sip.
I saw you were drinking. I was like, this ain't going to go well.
Rude.
Kamara role, right? I mean, he's going to fit right into that Kamara role.
Oh, yes. Perine Murray.
Right?
I
just
mean,
fit right in. They just pencil him in for the 81 catches every year.
Who says no to Perine Murray?
That's that's Sean Payton plan,
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's Pierre Thomas and Alvin Kamara right there. Oh,
perfect.
Easy.
Boom.
Oh,
lock it in.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. I think, but I do think, to push back on the narrative, I do think that coaches matter big time, because it's the Urban Meyer, right? I mean, clearly we see it with Trevor Lawrence. Had he had, great infrastructure around him, we've seen other quarterbacks get ruined. Maybe, Darnold probably is not good. We can probably come to that conclusion, but who knows what he would have looked like with good infrastructure around him. Derek Carr's older brother, David Carr, was sacked like 80 times in 4 games and was like broken and carted to his retirement immediately. He had terrible surrounding cast, whether it's weapons, offensive line, coaching, scheme, ownership. It all matters. I really do think that is, you're winning on the margins. I talk about it with these quarterbacks all the time when we evaluate these quarterbacks. You talk about Zach Wilson. If you stood next to Zach Wilson throwing a football, you'd be like, this is the greatest athlete I've ever seen in my, like, how do you do that? Like, pinpoint accuracy, throwing it all over the place, strongest arm in the world. So why did he fail? It's really on the margins. It's very, very small differences that make these quarterbacks succeed or fail. And for that reason, coaching does matter. And whether, the scheme does matter, the play calls do matter, the preparation matters, how they teach you to read what the other team is going to do, chess, not checkers, all that matters. But you still have to complete it on 3rd and 8. You know what I mean? You still have to play the play. I'm with you 100%. So a lot of times they overstate, especially like a guy like Joe Brady. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not with me 100%. You're with me 80%.
80%.
But I also agree that because coaches matter on the margins, and that football is a game of inches.
Yeah.
Football is a game of margins.
Yes.
That if you have a significant upgrade of weaponry like Sam Darnold is getting with the 49ers, and you have a coach that kind of makes your job easier in general.
Yeah.
Like that's a benefit. It's certainly a benefit. But
think about the 2 play calls, Matt, in the Super Bowl, the Sky Moore in and out, where they know that Philadelphia is going to run the coverage where they run with the guy in motion across the formation. They whipped him back out, and they scored 2 touchdowns on that very play. That's a preparation play. Now, Mahomes is great. To me, he's the greatest quarterback ever to live in a single moment, but he got helped. He got helped with great scheme, and that's how it goes. 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl because of scheming and preparation, So it matters. But
that's what winning on the margins is. It's a handful of
Bingo.
plays here and there, absolutely.
Yep.
But when you start to get bigger numbers involved,
yes.
more reps, you can't hide from that, right? You can't hide from that. And
you can't run that play every time, right?
It might be true that Sam Darnold's good enough to play well for an entire season and be like the QB 14.
Possible.
In that offense. It's very I'm absolutely leaving that door open and that possibility in play. I'm not saying that he can't play at all. There are certainly quarterbacks. We know what they look like, quarterbacks that can't play. They look like Josh Rosen.
Yes, they sure do.
right?
Yes.
Drew Lock. There are
Yeah.
quarterbacks that can't play. We know them. Sam Darnold's not that guy.
No.
Okay, Sam Darnold's had periods of time where he flashed, and he flashed in a difficult circumstance. He flashed when he was throwing to Shy Smith and, players that wouldn't even make rosters in other teams, coaches that, are on their way out of the league. So it would be interesting to see. I think every player deserves that, a chance to play with, say, a top 10 coach and a top 10 supporting cast, just so we can see what they are, right? So now that's why I'm so happy for DJ Moore, for example. What about Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook is another one who every day that goes by, like Trey Lance, like DeAndre Hopkins, it just feels like they're less and less likely to start the season on their team, or maybe you disagree.
It's probably just because I want him to be there. I love Dalvin. Dalvin's one of my favorite players. So for me, it's really, really difficult because I just want him to be in that offense. I don't want him to go anywhere. I just want to see him, Justin Jefferson, that whole offense. He's been great. I just wish he didn't have a few of those nagging injuries. Every year it seems like it grabs him here and there. The shoulder obviously has been an issue since college. But I love Dalvin. I want to see him in Minnesota, because I'm not sure where else he could go where it would be a better situation. It's sort of the Austin Eckler effect here. We don't want to see Austin Eckler go anywhere. We don't want to see Dalvin go anywhere, not because they wouldn't be good wherever they go, but I can't imagine a better situation for either player. And for those reasons, I'd love to see him stay there. I'm also not really a Mattison believer. I'm surprised at you a little bit, because you were the original pour some dirt on Mattison, and you've come around a little bit. I understand that. I just think Madison's very, very average, unless I'm mischaracterizing your position on Madison.
What do you mean?
Yeah, okay.
He is average. Where do we have him in Dynasty? Let me pull up the Dynasty rankings on playerprofiler.com. We'll pull them up. We have Dalvin Cook at RB24. That is because he's 27.7. We have the 0.7. We have the 10th place there because we want to see that, right? We want to see exactly how old these guys are. And I'm scrolling down to RB46.
I have him at RB25, so I'm with you there. And then where?
RB46 for Mattison.
Yeah, 53, so a little bit further down.
Yeah, exactly. But my contention is that at age 24, a guy that has a bunch of 20-point games on his resume, if he is the starter in that offense, he's going to put up fantasy points. We've seen guys that are not that explosive but have just enough ability between the tackles and just enough ability in the passing game and just enough ability, outside the tackles, in space, that they put up 25 fantasy points in offenses like that. I don't think he would hold up. I don't think that he would necessarily be a workhorse for very long. I think someone like a Ty Chandler would come along and start to cannibalize touches, because the coaches would see a player exposed where, okay, when we have a 3-game sample as opposed to a 1-game sample, the coaches will realize, there's just a lot of plays we're leaving on the field in the running game, and so we're going to go ahead and give Chandler, who's really explosive, an opportunity. That's how that would play out in real life, and that is about an RB46 player.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you are not mentioning is that if Dalvin goes somewhere, there's someone else will be there. They're not just going to be like, well, that's it. It's just Mattison and Chandler. They're going to draft somebody. They're going to sign a Fournette or an Elliot or someone like that. I mean, not them specifically, but they're going to fill the void with something. And I think whatever they fill the void with, it's almost as likely than not that they're better than Alexander Mattison.
Well, this was my worry, right? If they were to trade Dalvin Cook, then that opens the door for them to draft a running back on day 2.
For sure.
You could see it. You could absolutely see it. Like late second, late third
Kendre Miller comes in there and eats Madison's lunch.
Kendre Miller and Mattison, they look at each other, and then, basically Kendre Miller is the Venom to Madison's Spider-Man.
100%.
He's like, oh, wait, you're like a more flexible, more powerful version of me. This sucks. I'm going to need like Hollywood to write a unrealistic script
That's exactly
beat
right.
you.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. You came
Well,
from
the
another
script
planet.
writers will take care of them. That's right. That's right. The script writer will
This
take care
little
of them.
bit of black goo came from another planet and made this guy that's just like me somehow, but just way better than me. I mean, imagine if there was like some Podfather goo that landed from space. What that would be like. Imagine doing a show with him.
First Taintable and now this. I'm getting uncomfortable.
So do you like Ty Chandler, though? No?
I mean, no.
Do you like any of the backup or third string running backs that are lurking, that have some speed or have a nice receiving profile? Is there anyone like that? I mean, another running back who may possibly be in the wind at some point is Austin Eckler. Joshua Kelly. Who do you like better, Joshua Kelly or Ty Chandler?
Ty Chandler.
So you're like, okay, thank you. Can you like that? Okay,
Ty Chandler.
What about Ty Chandler or Keontae Ingram?
I think Keontae Ingram has more like lead back potential. I think Ty Chandler may be pigeonholed as a B back in the NFL.
A Ty Johnson
NFL
type
teams.
slasher.
Bingo. Yeah, I really do. And so, but I think Keontae probably will never pan out too. Again, the idea that most of these guys will all mostly be nobodies. I mean, you have rankings that go down to like 100, 120 running backs or something like that. I do too. Look at the names down there. They're all former like guys that were like, I like this guy, and it's true. It's really it's an awful place to look down there because there's a lot of guys that you're like, I think this guy might be good, and they just get washed through the league. Now, if
I
all
give you
of
some of these names?
Please go. Ready?
It's gonna hurt. You ready for some of these names? Myles Gaskin.
Bingo.
Myles Gaskin. Travion Williams.
Love that dude. It's true.
Darrell Henderson.
Love Darrell Henderson.
Kenyon Drake. Don't forget about Kyron Williams. Can't forget about Kyron Williams. He was going
in first round of rookie drafts before the NFL draft. You remember this. It's true. Before the combine.
Inappropriately. That's right. You remember Keyshawn Vaughn.
All too well, Bubba.
I didn't hate Keyshawn Vaughn.
Me neither.
I did. Tyrion Davis-Price.
You down with TDP? Yeah, you know me.
No way, not me. One more for you. Oh. Here's where the rubber meets the road. You ready for this? This is the final one. This is the best example. This is it. This is the guy where I want to just get, a big fat head and be like, you see, this is why. This is why we're here. This is why Player Profiler's here. Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, God.
Just oof.
Full fade.
I
have 0 shares, 0 cares, Isaiah Spiller. Never.
0. I have 0 Kyron Williams and 0 Isaiah Spiller. And
0.
Yet, do you know how many podcasters in Dynasty and football were here a year ago insisting that just because a guy runs a 4.65 and just because he wasn't as efficient as the other running backs on his team, and that just because he's not necessarily that slick of a receiver, that none of that really matters because they saw a couple things and a couple highlights that they liked.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. Isaiah Spiller, I was in multiple drafts, rookie drafts, where Isaiah Spiller went in like the top 6, even after the NFL draft. And I was like, how can you – and it's take lock. People refuse to be Bayesian. They refuse to get off their take. They refuse to change and go, you know what? I'm off. I got to go somewhere else. So Mark Mathick, what's up, Bubba? Yeah, it's like, it's just people don't stick to their takes. They stick to their takes. They won't get off it and change their minds on a player. And even with tremendous new information, they won't do it. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Spiller was easy as fate.
Some of it's narrative. Like I heard that Darrington Evans doesn't work hard. I heard that Darrington Evans is checked out in practice, that he has 0 intensity and 0 desire to really be a professional running back. And that's just a player that is not going to last. And these players, if you don't love it, if you
You're
don't
done.
love that life, and there's a lot of pain in that life, right? If you don't
Yeah.
love it and embrace it, you don't make it to the end of your rookie contract.
No.
And what ends
No.
up happening, the fate of these guys is often season-ending IR with a minor injury.
Bingo. Happens all the time. Yep.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. And there are some guys that are about this life. Like, I think Julius Chestnut might be about this life.
Might be. I love Julius Chestnut. So I would draft Julius Chestnut over Ty Chandler.
Oh, that's a perfectly reasonable position, especially because like Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry are in similar situations. Derrick Henry's a little bit older. What about this name? When I say this is the friction point here, is because once you get down to P. Ryan and Spiller and right above them, there starts to be glimmers of hope, but there starts to be someone like a Jermichael Hasty, where every time he's inserted, he's getting targeted at a rate that's so much higher than Travis Etienne of all players. And this is the
rough,
guy.
isn't it?
Yeah. So after a couple of years, you go undrafted, and then suddenly you have teams that want you, that seek you out, that are trying to put you in the lineup. Right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why a guy like Craig Reynolds is not dead yet, because the Lions love Craig Reynolds. He's a team leader, and he has just enough skills, and he wants it just enough, he wants it a lot, that when there are injuries in front of him, he is going to get opportunities. And then there are players that are a lot less explosive than guys like Craig Reynolds. There are guys that are a lot more explosive than guys like Craig Reynolds. And then those guys, you assume, okay, they're who's next, and then they're gone. It's like you don't even what happened to them. Where is Darrington Evans now? I have no idea what happened to,
all of them. But I think that makes us process wise as a Dino game theory situation 101 here. You're more running back agnostic than you are, dude. Julius Chestnut's way better than Ty Chandler. Like, I maybe or not, I don't fucking know. But I like the situation a little bit better. But I'd be happy to have Ty Chandler potentially on my roster as much as anybody else, because I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell the future. What I do know is that if Travis Etienne gets hurt, Jermichael Hasty could have a pretty big week. You just don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that Ronald Jones won't play and won't be good.
That's right. Yeah, Ronald Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all these guys. Now, there is a rookie running back that totally collapsed in the rankings. He fell at the same rate that Israel Abanikanda was rising. Can you believe it?
No.
Can you guess who it is?
There's nobody who's ever moved me more than Israel Abanikanda. I mean, it's moving right now. Can I guess who it is? Let's go with
this year's Kyron Williams.
This year's Kyron Williams.
Eric Gray.
Eric Gray? Really? You don't?
Eric
what's
Gray.
going on?
The 40 time came out, and it was in the mid 4.6s at his pro day.
Yeah, not good.
If you're small and you're running a 4.65 at your pro day, it's over.
Yeah,
it's over. And I've been saying this. On a loop, and go back to Edwards-Helaire. I can go back as far back as you guys want. I'm like, it's over. I'm sorry. I thought he was a great guy to talk to at the Senior Bowl. He made some nice plays, but at that size,
that's right. He didn't run at the combine. That's right.
Why did he duck the? I was asking that question. Why did Eric Gray duck the combine 40? And then I was like, So we brought him down a little bit. So people say, well, if the guy didn't run, why'd you punish him for not running at the combine? I'm like, because he wasn't hurt. Yeah. Because I remember Laquan Treadwell showing up at the combine with a backwards hat and just hitting guys on the bicep, joking around, right? Not participating in any drills. He's there with a backwards hat, wearing pants, not injured.
Yeah.
And like, if you show up to the combine wearing pants and you're not injured, I am going to be skeptical of your athleticism.
Yes. I think my guy Kyle Larson from the Undroppables, who's in Tennessee, really closely monitors that Tennessee team, was out on Eric Gray the whole way and kind of was like telling us, hey, listen, you guys are lost the whole time, like for 4 years now. Basically, Eric Gray ain't it. Now, obviously, transfers and, maybe there was some issues there, obviously. But, yeah, it turns out he probably was right the entire time that Eric Gray just ain't it.
Great kid. Good person. Like him a lot. But it's not gonna work.
The hard part for me is I never had Eric Gray that high. I kind of had him in that, he hasn't really moved for me. So I didn't think of him as a mover. He was kind of down there. I've got him, now clearly behind Evan Hull and Chase Brown, but I had him in that group. So he's, moving down from, running back 14 or something to, what do you want to put him? You don't like Kenny McIntosh, do you?
No, he fell.
Yeah, you can't like Kenny McIntosh. He's the only thing you can like about Kenny McIntosh is he could be a hybrid wide receiver running back, and he could end up finding his way to targets, but that dude is not running the football in the NFL, period.
Most of these guys are going to fail.
Yeah, most of them are going to fail.
Just start with that. It's an easy decision on what to do with guys. We just bring them down. If you just realize, this guy's probably going to fail. That's it.
Yes. And if most of these guys are going to fail, that's why I have Israel Abanikanda so high, because if you say most of them are going to fail, that's probably true. But if they succeed, what do they look like? That's where Israel starts to get a little bit exciting. If he succeeds, he looks a lot like, Antonio Gibson, rather than just some guy who comes in there and is a breather. He's an absolute explosive player. I liked your Tevin Coleman, comp. He is bigger. He is a more stout player, which opens him up to more sort of, roles in the NFL, goal line, etc. I think Tevin Coleman was always a bit pigeonholed as a slasher. It's possible that Izzy gets there too, where he's just a sort of a 2-down slasher in the NFL. Very, very possible. And for those reasons, you can't be too high on anybody. I think Kendre Miller probably profiles a little bit more every down, but again, both of their pass catching is sort of similar. It's not that much different. So after the big three, there's a lot of questions. I love Tajay Spears. There's a lot of players I like, but I don't think there's any sure things. With the rest of the running back class in this year's class, I'm going to be looking for, obviously draft capital and landing spot to sort of separate some things, because it's really, really tough. And
you think landing spot matters? I heard landing spot doesn't matter.
Yeah, for running backs, it does. Wide receivers, it matters a whole lot less. Yeah, running backs, it does.
Of course, it does. Yes, landing spot mattered for Terrace Marshall too.
Yeah,
Terrace Marshall could have landed somewhere else and probably had a more impressive production profile at this point and more dynasty value. I want to get into Abanikanda more when I get to 10 burning questions. We're almost there. I just have one more, less relevant, less exciting, less burning, right?
Yes.
Smoldering question. I think this is barely. This one's. I don't think it's smoking even. I maybe smoldering, but maybe warm, maybe like an electric heater, like an electric blanket.
Oh, I like those. Those are
an
nice.
Electric blanket question.
Okay.
So, in Dynasty, you're in a win now mode. You going after Fournette or you going after Zeke?
Probably Zeke, don't you think?
Maybe.
Fournette
still caught a bunch of passes last year. Do you know how many passes Leonard Fournette caught last year?
I bet it's a lot. Like, was he fourth in the league in catches, I think?
Leonard
From the
Fournette was a wide receiver. He was converted to running back.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But now he's what do you call it? Fat. They're both fat, I guess. But listen, I think Zeke might command a backfield a bit more, and sort of when he shows up, he's sort of like, oh, look at fucking Ezekiel Elliott's here. He's got a little bit more of that gravitas, and for that reason, he could show up someplace with a little bit of a muddled backfield and sort of be the coach's pet, number one guy, goal line, the rest of it. Whereas I think Leonard Fournette, wherever he goes from here on out, is sort of a, secondary player, role player. Little less likely to sort. That's the big one, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just?
Yeah, of course.
Can we just get it over with?
Right.
Can you say Zeke one more time, just real quick?
Zeke?
Just because you're wrong.
Wrong answer.
You're wrong.
Damn it.
Come on, guy. Come on. Is
It's
Fournette going to be
true.
underrated for every year since his rookie year?
Put it this way: at cost, I'll take Fournette because he's got to be way less. So
how is anyone paying anything for Zeke at this point?
I know. It's true. You can get them for free, both of them for free.
I mean, the dial is on E.
Especially if we're talking Dynasty. Dynasty, everybody's looking to get off that. So, I mean, you could absolutely buy him for absolutely nothing. A future third, easy. Easy.
You stepped on a great turn of phrase I just had.
Sorry. Damn it.
Should I say it again?
Yeah, please.
The dial is reading a big E for Ezekiel. It's good.
Yeah,
good.
It's really worth repeating. Yeah.
10 burning questions. 10.
Now you know why he blocked me in the first place. Jeez.
A whole 10 burning questions coming up after this. Moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free, and one of our key missions is to make as much statistics and information and deep analysis available on playerprofiler.com for free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible. If you can't do All In, that's okay. We have a draft kit. Or you can just subscribe to the player rankings. Those now include tight end premium FFPC ranks, our brand new data analysis package will blow your hair back. And of course, there's our Dynasty Deluxe and our DFS Dominator. Take a moment, check out our premium services to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show. That was well said.
God, you're good. It's true, though. You are. You're outstanding. Telling everybody how good you are right now on Twitter. I'm on Twitter just telling everybody this is the best. Unbelievable. So good. No, it really was. You are great. I'm always going to give you shit because I'm an asshole. And even when I say it nicely, it's going to sound that way. So I apologize, but you're awesome.
I appreciate it. You know, I heard someone say that like Gen X invented sarcasm.
How could that be possible?
I don't know, but I kind of think if you go back and watch movies and you consume kind of culture from the 50s, keep going back 40s, 30s, people were a lot more earnest.
Yeah, that's right. There's a culturally, yes.
Something happened in the 70s where we were just like, really?
Right.
Yeah. Really? And then you and I, we grew up with like, really? You know, Chandler.
Yes.
From Friends.
Yeah, my brother was so witty and sarcastic growing up, and he's older than me. So, yeah, everything was just a slice. Everything just came at me sliced up. I was like, I could say nothing. So, I definitely grew up in a sarcastic house, which is a lot of fun. It's super fun. I mean, it's the way to go.
I every time anyone hits me with anything sarcastic, the more biting, the better. Best. And I crumple. It gets me every time.
Yeah, me too. I love it. I
love you, buddy. Love you, buddy. Now,
you too.
Question: 10 burning questions. 10 burning questions. But you saw how I do the 10 burning, where there's a 5A and a 5B and a 5C. It's really the number of questions that I come up with, and then I just
like 27 burning questions.
It's an arbitrary number that I just call 10 because it's the segment. Mm-hmm. How good would Brandon Aiyuk look in Kansas City red and white?
Dude, do you know that when you sent me the show sheet, I looked at this and I panicked. I was like, wait, did Brandon Aiyuk get traded? What the fuck is going on with this question? I literally had to check because I was busy and I was like, this can't be. And so I literally had the reaction and I was like, Sky Moore is fucking dead unless he was in the trade. That was the first thing that I thought of. But
that's actually a very good question. That's a very good question. Would Sky Moore in Dynasty be more or less dead if he was in the trade? Because him being in the trade would diminish him because it shows that the team is ready to give up on him or sees him as a throw-in. It's the same reason why how the Jets dumped Elijah Moore was bad. It was a bad sign for Elijah Moore, and it was offset by
a good result.
The incredible situation he landed in.
Yeah.
But it was a wash because now we have this competing signal like, oh, great opportunity, but the team that got the best look at this guy didn't like what they had to see, didn't like what they saw.
Yeah, for sure. I think Sky Moore would be better off moved at that point personally because of Kadarius Toney and et cetera. But that's probably near here nor there. But of course, any wide receiver would look good in Kansas City. That's the trick question. The trick question. Except for Juju Smith-Schuster and what, and MVS is awful. He's terrible, man. MVS is just
Ayuk,
garbage.
Ayuk is ready. He's so ready.
Good.
Yeah, he's more alpha E than Jerry Jeudy.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
If you and I are GMs of an actual franchise, I think we push the button on Ayuk before Jeudy. Although, you asked me about Jeudy, I never circled back. I think Jeudy is showing improvement. Every year has been more and more yards per target. Like, he's been a little hurt. I think he's an under the radar prospect, especially. But the problem is that offense. There's a lot of questions I have if he's traded, et cetera. But I think Judy's ready to break out. I don't know that he's going to be an alpha guy, but I think if he just plays 16 or 17 games and gets a 20% target share in that offense, he should be okay. So I'm not seeing a huge ceiling, but I think he's a good player.
He's frail also.
That's a problem. Yeah.
He can't hold up. He can't hold up.
Not.
Even he'll have a run. He'll have a 4-week stretch, but he cannot hold up. He's super svelte. He has this one skill. It's a great trick, but you need more than that. And he doesn't have a high dog rating. Like he's not all about that life. Like there's things are stacking up on the other side of the equation, the other side of the ledger on Jerry Jeudy, dragging him down. That you talked about the Rorschach test that is Jerry Jeudy.
Yes,
he is whatever you want to see. If you believed in Jerry Jeudy, then you're only going to focus on the positives. You're going to focus on that stretch, the last 4 weeks of the season where he was a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, and that's really going to be it. And then the idea that he could actually parlay that into a full season, what is the actual probability? Very low. Unlike someone, like, say, Rachaad White, who I believe is ready to parlay this opportunity into an RB1 for the full season.
I'll give you a trade I made in Dynasty. You tell me what you think. You ready? You are ready. You look ready. You're not ready? So ready. Okay.
I'm as ready as ready.
I took J.K. Dobbins, and I traded him for Rachaad White and the rookie 2.05. That's it. What do you think?
I think how,
Thank
what,
you.
when, where. Imagine that league mate's face is going to look like when Baltimore drafts Bijan Robinson in the first round.
That will hurt. That will hurt.
Let me try to do the face. Let me try to do the face real quick. This is the face.
Yeah.
Just everything puckered.
Angry and confused.
Everything is tight and is small and just stretched as you could possibly make your face.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
There you go.
So you agree? Rachaad White, top 10 dynasty running back.
Close. I mean, he's also a little bit fragile. He's got, all these running backs are close to fragile, right? Or close to like RB1 upside. Whether it be Tyler Algier, who I like, Dameon Pierce, I like, Rachaad White, I like. These guys are all, if they get the clear runway, let's go. But there's also a number of outcomes that can happen in just a couple of weeks that will make fantasy gamers make the face.
We have Rachaad White ahead of Ramondre Stevenson, because you can't say, oh, you have Rachaad White ahead of Nick Chubb. Well, that's just a win now versus rebuild preference, right? If you're in win now mode, you want Chubb. That's why we're rolling out a whole win now mode and a rebuild mode, so you can see the different modes, and you'll see Chubb ahead or you'll see White ahead. If you want equivalent guys, really, White and Ramondre are almost identical in that White is a little faster, a little more explosive. Stevenson is more proven, better tackle breaker, right? And then Stevenson's just that year older, and that's the exact difference in their dynasty value.
So you
dynasty
you have
drafts,
Rachaad White over J.K. Dobbins in dynasty.
Oh, big time. Oh, of course.
So then I double one there. Yeah.
Oh,
that was the idea.
You destroyed.
That was the idea.
Destroyed. But what I'm saying is a great dichotomy to look at is White versus Stevenson.
Yes.
And that would be the great test. And then you look at their ADPs. One guy's getting drafted at the end of the 4th round. The other guy's not getting drafted until round 6 or 7 in a startup. And that's why, our subscribers, your subscribers, Undroppables subscribers, they're gonna get a lot of Rachaad White, and they'll be very happy.
Yeah. We basically have them back to back. And what I would ask is, like, when you look at Ramondre Stevenson's another one, I am, as a Patriots fan, not for this, but I see a lot of mocks where Bijan is being taken by the Patriots at pick 14. And it's like, that's very, very possible. And then what happens to Ramondre? So look, there's a lot of outcomes. That one was obviously the Ramondre killer, but there's other outcomes where, we've seen it with Bill Belichick's offenses before, where he just goes from one guy to the next. He did it with Damian Harris. Nobody really thought that Ramondre was going to rip the job away from Damian Harris, and he did. So it's possible that a lot of different things could happen where they even take a guy like Kendre Miller, Izzy Abanikanda, Zach Evans. Whomever you like, you pick the guy you like, put him in New England in the 3rd round, and it's possible that dude steals some touches and maybe even takes over for Ramondre Stevenson. I think Ramondre is really good. So for me, I am a little bit more comfortable with him, but I am very, very open to the fact that he could be annihilated in a couple of weeks as well. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Guys like Najee Harris, for me, are a little safer, even though I don't love Najee. So for that reason, I have Najee ahead of Ramondre, but it's close, right?
Yeah. We have Harris ahead for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Harris, Jacobs, Pollard, those guys are ahead.
Same.
So it's interesting. The Patriots have a lot more running back depth on their roster than the Buccaneers do.
True.
But because of the situation that they're in, where they're still clinging to relevance, and Bill believes that the running game is the key right now. That's what he said to Saban in one of their talks, right? That the league is going small, so we're going to go big. And Saban's like, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I believe it's more likely, even though the Patriots have Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong and James Robinson, so much more depth than the Buccaneers with Keyshawn Vaughn. It's still more likely that it's actually Stevenson that gets eviscerated on day 1 or 2 by a running back.
Yeah, it really is. It's sad, but any one of them could be. Rachaad, obviously a little less proven as a lead back. They were putrid last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in terms of running the football. So Rachaad has really awful yards per carry numbers, and it doesn't look very good. But I still think he's got that explosion. He's got pass game upside. So Rachaad is right there, ready to go. I think it's so hard to prognosticate because we just don't know what will happen in the draft, and the draft will change a lot of these takes for sure. They just will, whether we like it or not. So one of these guys is going to get absolutely crushed.
So Stroud, Young, 1-2 for you? Is that your prediction?
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, there's a lot of smoke, but I just think it's going to be really hard. It might be, Young, Stroud, but I think it should be those two guys. I mean, I'm a little bit afraid of Young's size, but everything else you hear about him, first of all, he's played at Alabama. He played at Mater Dei. Like, he's the chalk when it comes to, quarterback prospects. And he's done nothing, at either stop to be like, well, totally failed there. I mean, he's been successful. I don't know if you heard, I think it was Lance Zierlein accidentally leaked the fact that he was like the highest rated on this, whatever it is, a G2 test or whatever. It's like a recognition test that like show like a bunch of shapes, and you have to pick the shape that's different. And whoever is like, able to recognize these things quicker, they do it for baseball players so that they can just, see a curveball, see a fastball quicker. This sort of recognition, processing of information. Bryce Young was the top one. And then there was some other information that came out that this 2023 class is by far the best class ever in that test. So maybe we've got a couple of guys that are really good processors. After Young and Stroud, I have no idea who the hell it must be, but my guess is it's not Will Levis. Sorry.
So you don't think it goes QB times 4 to kick off the draft, right?
I mean, I certainly would not do that if I were the 3 and 4 teams. I would not hitch my wagon to Levis or Richardson or Hooker. I just couldn't do it.
I've got a feeling, man. I've got a feeling. I keep seeing the Colts linked to Levis, and if that's true, then that means someone's going to trade up to 3 to get Richardson.
Oh my God, I couldn't do it. Why would you trade up to 3 for Anthony Richardson or Will Levis when you can just get like Mac Jones or Trey Lance?
There hasn't been enough. There has not been enough evidence that Will Levis is great or even good. And the same is true. As much as I love Anthony Richardson, the same is true with Anthony Richardson. There's so much at stake with these picks that I lean conservative. I lean CJ Stroud has the fewest red flags.
The future of
size
NFL
is
franchise?
a red flag for Bryce Young.
Yeah, it is.
So that's my preference. Others are a little more cowboy about it, and they want to take chances.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could just assume, like you said, go ahead and try to resurrect Lance at a fraction of the cost. Because you pay a lot, a huge premium for the unknown, the guy that's taken 0 snaps. Where we talked about, Lance has played the majority of 4 games in the NFL. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's investment costs, right? So, I mean, do I like Anthony Richardson as a prospect? Of course. I mean, there's a lot of tantalizing things about Anthony Richardson, the prospect. Big arm, the greatest athlete we've ever seen at the quarterback position. Kind of nice. Literally, right? Kind of nice.
He's a lot more athletic than Trey Lance.
Facts.
They're not comparable.
They're not close. But so that's all well and good. But again, and I know if my aunt had a penis, she'd be whatever. But listen, if Anthony Richardson didn't have the athleticism, where would he be drafted?
Oh.
On passing acumen and his passing profile alone. Like if he was just a regular, athlete.
Jordan Love, he'd be picked 21.
You think that? I mean, I think he'd be drafted to day 3. Like, I mean, didn't
really you see him? He hit the rafters with a throw.
Stop it!
Didn't you see him hit the rafters?
Stop this! You don't think every single quarterback prospect could hit the rafters?
Didn't you see him hit the rafters?
Oh, that's right. Maybe this is sarcasm.
He hit the rafters. So he's got a cannon. Listen, man, okay. I don't know. The arm talent is there for him. And the value these scouts put on arm talent is always inflated.
Yes.
Jordan Love was the best example. Like I got an email from someone saying, "You guys are too low on Jordan Love in your rankings." I'm like, well, if you had evidence he's good, I'd love to see it.
Yes. The 1/2 against Philadelphia. Did you see Andy Reid didn't know who he was?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They asked Andy Reid, what'd you think of Jordan Love, when he played against you? He goes, who? And they go, the backup there to Green Bay. He goes, oh, yeah.
Utah State.
Like, I don't remember him at all. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. Andy Reid did not know who the fuck Jordan Love was.
Right. Discount Zach Wilson. Remember him?
Did not know who he was.
Right?
No.
He's discount Zach Wilson. So, we're going to be lower in Superflex even. Yes, even in Superflex, we're going to be lower than consensus on Jordan Love. Man, I'm real nervous about that one. Like, what kind of rankings can beat you? That's one of the conversations I had with Dario and Theo in Dynasty. Which of these players can beat us? Like,
right.
Jordan Love? Really? With one
Let me ask
receiver
you
to
this.
throw to? No.
Jordan Love or Sam Howell in Dynasty?
I mean, I think Jordan Love, but
Yeah.
this is
Close.
What are we talking about? You're talking about
Close.
You're talking about like a 4th-round quarterback that's on Washington.
If you have to think about
this
it,
might be making my point for me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Desmond Ridder or Jordan Love?
Well, that's the debate. And I go Ridder.
100%
Yeah,
Ridder.
There we go.
Yeah.
I've seen Ridder play well. How about that?
Yeah.
How about
Ryan
that, Matt?
Tannehill or Jordan Love?
I think it's a debate. If
it
you're trying to win this year, I would go Tannehill.
Tannehill might as well, yeah.
Can I ask you about Terrace Marshall? Because I believe that it's not baked in how much CJ Stroud's going to help him.
Sure. Or Bryce Young.
It's going to be Stroud.
Little fella. I think so, too.
It's going to be Stroud.
All right, let's say Stroud.
So be bullish on Terrace Marshall. You want to take a chance. Like, I'm happy to take the guy that everyone thought was the guy. A year after everyone's out on him being the guy, I'll resurrect that shit.
Yeah.
Right? I want Trey Lance now. I want Terrace Marshall now.
Yes. Yeah. You can finally buy Trey Lance at his appropriate cost.
Yeah.
I think Terrace Marshall is – I mean, here's the problem, though, with Terrace Marshall, and you know this as well as anybody, that the likelihood that he's ever any good is very, very low based on his year 1, year 2 performance. And they did bring in, 2 veterans to sort of play over him, and DJ Chark and Adam Thielen. How long they can stay healthy or whatever is a question. So, I mean,
is it a question? Is it a question? Is that a question? That's a question.
Yeah.
A nice
how long
rhetorical
they can stay
trick. That's a question.
Yeah. That's a question.
Yeah. What is the probability that Adam Thielen and DJ Chark play a total of 34 games?
0.
Thank you. That's a right answer. We'll give him the right answer. Sound effect!
0.
Good job.
Yeah.
You made up for it. You had a wrong answer earlier. I forgot.
Like Ty Chandler or something.
I didn't even remember. I couldn't even recall.
Zeke over Fournette.
Zeke thing. Yeah,
Zeke over
Fournette there.
I'm taking notes. I got this.
Speaking of failed LSU wide receivers, I have not seen a rookie receiver that has some former prestige as radioactive as Kayshon Boutte or Boutte right now.
Yeah.
It's
if you like him, it's Boutte. If you don't like him, it's Boutte. Is that how you do it?
No, I think that he was a big-time prospect. Yeah. He graded incredibly well as a route runner for Cody, and he's going to get drafted probably in the 2nd round, and we're going to have to deal with him. You're going to have to deal with him. You're going to have to put a valuation on him. You can't rank him at 0. You can't put him at the back of the rankings. You need to find a ranking for him. It's
real bad, though. It's not good. Like, the good news is his breakout age. He had 735 yards and 9 touchdowns by his sophomore season, his true sophomore season, which basically just shows early production in a raw number. But his best year, yards per team pass attempt, is 1.75. Just to give you some perspective.
I just heard you pull up papers there. That was good.
Papers. I have papers. Deuce Vaughn has a 1.76 best year yards per team pass attempt. So he did not eclipse Deuce Vaughn in terms of receiving prowess in one key metric, which is a little damning, isn't it?
A little. Yeah, we have our analysts pick their favorite, players to tout. They're my guys.
Yeah.
And I have my guys, Kenneth Gainwell, one of my guys. No one has picked Kayshon Boutte. If we had,
Good.
and there's a little there's like a point, like a little foam finger.
Yeah.
Right. If you had a foam finger that was like thumbs down, maybe we'd have all the analysts like just stacked up. This poor guy. It almost makes me want him on my team. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna be drafting him just because for that reason.
Well, he's
I'm gonna call the
big
bottom.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, he's 20 years old. I mean, now it's all narrative. It's all bad attitude, this and that. Well, at that point, I start to be like, well, I'm buying then.
Yeah.
Right. I'm buying that. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. If you're buying Kayshon Boutte, the what you're buying is okay. He was an exceptional high school prospect, brought to the SEC, broke out early, and then sort of fell out of favor and, was a mercurial, junior who just didn't give a shit. And so therefore he's coming out early. The problem is he also was not very explosive and not very fast. And so those two things added to it. If he would have been really athletic, I think people would have been like, see, this fucking guy's good. But when you add the sort of the bad narrative to the bad athleticism, it starts to feel a little bit worse. But all that did is decrease his ADP, which can, make him a little bit better of a value proposition. Hate to say it yet again, but it'll be very interesting to see what the NFL draft thinks of him and where he gets drafted. Obviously, if he's a 5th or 6th round pick, you can pour it all the way out for him, man.
Oh, he's a goner.
Yeah.
He's a goner down there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He has a fragile rating. He has a more fragile ranking than, say, Marvin Mims.
Yes.
Right. We love Marvin Mims. But then I was talking to Danny Kelly. I was like, Marvin Mims is my guy. He's like, oh, yeah, you're like all the other analytics guys. Everyone's on Marvin Mims.
I didn't know that either. I heard that. I heard you talk to Danny. I was like,
I was
I didn't know that.
I was like, okay. Yeah. I thought
it was just
isn't he a senior? I was like, I didn't think analytics people like these older receivers. I thought
He is not a senior. He's an early declare. Yeah.
Another
data
point.
point.
Declare. Wait,
he's
what?
An early declare. Yes.
Oh my God, we're back. That's why.
Yes. That's exactly why.
That's the answer. Okay.
Yep.
Did I not know that? How did I know? Why did I think this is so strange? He's only 21 years old.
Yep.
Why did I think he was 22? You know what's happening to me? I'm getting him and Jaden Reed confused. We have them almost the identical rankings.
Love Jaden Reed too.
I constantly get them confused.
Yeah.
And that's my bad. You know what? For the podcast, we'll edit that out.
No, leave it in. It's okay.
I really don't make that mistake very often. I mean, we've done how many?
I've got these papers here, buddy.
How many hours of podcasting have I done? And I almost always know when guys are early declares versus seniors.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. Right. That's really tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And the other guy I was thinking, and also hits the next question on the show sheet, this is how I got in this situation, was Zay Flowers as a senior.
Zay Flowers is definitely a senior.
So there again. That's what happened. We'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. We're going to leave it in. God damn it.
Do it live. Damn it.
I'm not perfect.
No.
We do some edits to the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, you go to you basically just search Player Profiler or any of your podcast apps. Make sure you subscribe to the Player Profiler podcast and the Mind of Mansion show. If you just want to listen to this show is also subscribable. So if for whatever reason you only like this show, you can also subscribe to Mind of Mansion, or you can subscribe to the Player Profiler Podcast Network and get access to all these podcasts. Israel Abanikanda. Finally, we can talk about him. Israel Abanikanda. Who you got? Abanikanda or Zay Flowers?
Right now, it has to be Zay Flowers.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, yeah. Before the draft, you can't be propping up these running backs who may not even get day 2 capital. I mean, for all we know, Zay Abanikanda could get 5th round capital and be buried in Indianapolis or something stupid like that, where he's just another backup running back. Zay Flowers is very, very likely to be a top 20 pick, certainly a 1st round pick, and if not, an early 2nd round pick. I mean, and this is easily Zay Flowers at this particular point. I've mentioned it on my podcast a few times. There's going to be a running back, maybe two, that like hit the jackpot lottery in the NFL draft, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to move them up or whatever. But we've done this before incorrectly with Michael Carter and Trey Sermon when everybody thought they were good, and they were drafting Michael Carter and Trey Sermon again over the likes of Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, and Jalen Waddle, and even Terrace Marshall. And those were incorrect plays then, and they'll be incorrect plays again this year. Take your first round wide receiver and count your money. That's the take. So pleased with himself. Look at him. So pleased with himself. Look at him. You really would draft Israel Abanikanda over Zay Flowers right now in a rookie draft?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. It's just the leverage you get at the position. You get a guy that's that young also. It's so close. I mean, the reason why it's a debate is because it's really your need, whatever you need.
Sure.
We have him but the fact that he's 20 and we're talking about 90th percentile speed, burst, everything, that he has huge college production, 1,400 yards. He has a 24 catch season. It's on. It's on with this guy. I thought for sure that I could put anyone in front of you and compare them to Abanikanda, and you would take Abanikanda, but I'm very clever, as you know. I'm very clever at crafting these show sheets in a way that puts my guests in a difficult position and makes me look great.
Yeah. No, you look fantastic. I mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. I mean, when it comes to looks, I feel like you got me. I'm not. This is a part where I can't battle you.
Oh,
but listen,
man.
listen,
my stomach hurts.
Listen, we just did the Undroppables versus the Player Profiler mock draft where Cody and Theo and Dario drafted against me, Chalk, and Tommy. It was just a lot of fun. We'll put out the content. You're going to throw it on your website, I'm sure, and let everybody dissect it. It's going to be fun. But I will tell you, in that draft, Mr. Game Theory did end up with Izzy Abanikanda. So somehow or another, I still valued him above whomever else.
We had the debate on air in the Sonic Truth, and Theo caped up for Abanikanda. Yeah, and Theo is a killer. He is a dynasty killer, and I was like, I kind of want to put Abanikanda out there, and because based on our projections, we're putting 3-year projections together, very analytical. Dario's in the lab, and he's like, guys, I think you're gonna be pleasantly surprised where Abanikanda is shaking out. And I'm like, ahead of Flowers? Well, they did. And then I threw it to Theo, and Theo was like, yeah, that's not crazy. I was like, oh my.
Just as a note, they did take Roschon Johnson, Dario, and Devin Achane ahead of Izzy Abanikanda in said draft. So you may have to talk to them.
These I wouldn't take Achane ahead of him. I'll tell you that.
Me neither. It was back to back. He admitted that he was like going back and forth with Izzy and Achane, and they took Achane. But
what happens oftentimes is someone will say, "Hey, I'm going to fall back on the mock drafts," and we have a mock draft index that aggregates all these mock drafts on Player Profile with an NFL draft section, a new NFL draft section, and you can click on the mock draft index. You can see where the mock drafters are taking these guys, and I understand if you're like, okay, Achane's going to go pick 90 and Abanikanda pick 130.
Right.
This is not good, right?
Right.
But Abanikanda could go at pick 90 and Achane could go pick 82. I mean, then it's not a big deal. Let's just
That's right. Pre-draft, it's super tough. And that's why you sort of stick to your player takes pre-draft, and then, obviously you look like a fool on many occasions in mock drafts pre-NFL draft. It's just the way it goes. You can't help it.
Yeah, Roschon is a 3-down player though.
He is.
Roschon's,
I like Roschon.
Roschon's real good. It's funny how when a guy with his skill set has the full support of the scouting industrial complex, then he's Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
Right, but then when he doesn't, he's Roschon Johnson, and you're mocked for even having the guy in your top 10. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this guy's just as athletic as Javonte Williams. So,
yeah, that's true.
Running backs, looking deeper, we talked. Well, I think this is a spoiler alert. I think we already spoiled it with Eric Gray. Other than Eric Gray, okay. So I apologize that I subverted you here. Other than Eric Gray, who's another running back that you think is just bottom fell out of his stock?
Again, Kenny McIntosh, the way he weighed in, I'm out. Deuce Vaughn, size, I'm out.
Out.
Tank Bigsby, I feel like, is the Isaiah Spiller of this draft. I don't think he's a bad football player. I just don't necessarily think that he's special at anything, and therefore is just going to be just a guy at the NFL. But, even if Isaiah Spiller somehow found, opportunity, I would be in on him because I think he's a fine running back. I'm not saying that he's garbage or anything, but I think Tank is that. So I'm generally out on Tank in terms of his ADP. He tends to go a little bit higher than I like. Is there anybody else that was ever
no,
in
his
that
ADP? His ADP is driven by the mock drafts. Zach Evans has fallen even more than Tank.
Zach
Bigsby.
Evans is a very curious case, isn't he? I feel like he's I can't figure out Zach Evans. I drafted Zach Evans in that draft, and it was like at the 211, So, like, we really faded him to the back end of the second round. I mean, at the 211, I feel like I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like that's great value for Zach Evans. So I think he gets faded a lot. And for that reason, I may be in because at cost I'm in. It's kind of like Isaiah Spiller last year. If he's a first round pick, I'm out. If he's a third round pick, fucking draft him. Go ahead. So it's, hail to the king. I don't hate players. I hate ADPs. So I think Zach Evans is interesting enough, especially late in the second round, early third for sure in your rookie draft.
He washed out at TCU. Kendre Miller is definitively better.
Yep.
If you're 200 pounds, you got to catch more than 30 passes in your fucking career.
Yeah. He's not a pass catcher.
Wide receiver.
I don't know. Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest dropper for you? And tell me why it's not Quentin Johnston.
Is it?
We adjust. We adjust with Eric Gray. We adjust. We're adjusters. When we come knocking to adjust,
so how far?
These guys don't want to answer the door because they're like, "Oh, what did I run? Did I run a 4.55?"
Quentin Johnson is the classic guy that you and I are petrified of, right? This sort of big guy, the thing about it is he's not an outside contested catch guy. As a matter of fact, he's decidedly bad at that. So I think in some ways that saves him from being, pigeonholed as the outside, clasher, as you like to put it. And I love that because it's so true. Like that prototype was the prototype that won in the even as recently as the aughts, but certainly in the 80s and 90s, that was what you needed, a big guy out there to go win. But nowadays, it's much more of a slot game, a shifty game, a closer to the line of scrimmage, win fast game. At least in that way, Quentin Johnson has showed that he can do that. If he's deployed that way in the NFL, I'm a buyer. But if they sort of see him as an X and throw him outside, he could be dead already.
It's not good.
No.
It's really not good. I mean, he is the Tank Bigsby of the wide receivers.
But then everybody else, like Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, they're all like 170 pounds. I mean, well, I guess 180 will be nice, but like these guys are not very big, so that's a little bit scary, although I'm not as scared about that. I think these guys, and like I just said, in the way that the NFL asks you to win, I think these guys win in that way. So I really like all three of those guys. How do you sort of, navigate those three players? I mean, if you're on the clock late first, and you've got those guys at your disposal, who are you picking?
I mean, Jordan Addison is what we thought he was. Zay Flowers has only just improved and improved and improved and improved. Zay Flowers is the one I really like.
I know he's so good. Like the film guys love him. Steve Smith likes him. Famously,
he's gonna come out early. Decided to go back for his teammates.
Yeah,
This is. I'm feeling a lot of this sort of the Chris Olave vibes coming off him as a senior. I'm not saying he's Chris Olave, but he could go that high. He could go. Cody says you could see this guy go at 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, it's very possible.
It's on, dude. It's very much on. In fact, we'll go ahead and check back with our rankings, everybody. We're going to go ahead and see what happens if we model it with him going at like slot 12. See what happens. You could see a little bit. You could see an adjustment based on that. Do you care if Charbonnet gets drafted before Jahmyr Gibbs?
Absolutely not. I don't care at all. Not even a little bit.
Not even like slightly?
Not even a little bit, right? I mean, this happens every year. We saw it with, Ronald Jones over whoever the hell he was drafted ahead of. I mean, it never matters, right? As long as a guy doesn't get, eviscerated by the draft where it's like, oh my God, Jahmyr Gibbs went, early round 4 or something like, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, I don't care at all. I mean, preferences will be taken. I mean, it was the Clyde Edwards-Helaire drafted first over the 4 horsemen of, Akers, Dobbins, Swift, and Taylor. I never moved, CEH above any of them. He stayed at my RB5 the entire time. So, it doesn't matter. Those types of differences, early second to late first, or early, late second to early third. No big deal at all.
No big deal. No big deal. Think about Olave. What's the chances he outscores Garrett Wilson?
I think it's pretty high, don't you?
I think it's very high.
I think it's very high.
I think it's high now that Lazard is there because Rodgers is destined to go there. That's yet more target competition. We know that Rodgers plays slow. 2 years ago he was the slowest pace of play in the NFL, rated number 32, right?
Yes.
Green Bay Packers
slow.
Last in pace of play. That makes no sense. If you can diagnose what a defense is doing as quickly as Rodgers must be able to at this point in his career, the idea that you would be last in pace of play is so egregious. It's so I mean, every other team with rookie quarterbacks and everything, they're backup quarterbacks, they're playing faster than you. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that playing fast helps you analytically.
Bingo.
So yes. I don't understand that at all. I also am worried that because Garrett Wilson is more of an improviser and he's less of a precision route runner like Olave, that will create a clash between him and Rodgers. It's not a sure thing that Rodgers and Wilson will get along.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a sure thing that Rodgers and anyone will get along. He's an enigma for sure.
And it's also what I'm saying is it's much more of a sure thing that Olave and Carr will get along.
It's also a much more, sure thing that Olave will get along with anybody. I mean, this guy's a real player, man. Not to say that Wilson isn't, but yeah, I think I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, what's there not to like about both these guys? But yeah, in that offense, I think it's certainly a possibility that Rodgers goes to his guy in the end zone and it's Lazard and who knows what, right? I mean, it's just, you can almost envision people going, what's wrong? Why won't he throw it to Wilson? The whole thing. Whereas I can hardly imagine Derek Carr not locking onto Chris Olave, like, first read, second read, third read, just making sure that he feeds him the ball for sure. It was kind of like last year when it was a solved equation that, Tyreek Hill was going to just, nuke Jalen Waddle. And I kept saying, I think they're probably a lot closer to one another than people want to admit. Now, Tyreek Hill ended up outscoring Waddle, but I think it was clear that was sort of a misevaluation. I think it's probably the same thing here. I think they're probably very, very close to 50-50. If you ask me, which one outscores the other, I would take whichever one you don't want because I think it's very there. But I actually would prefer Olave if I could pick the 51-49 split.
God, that was such a terrible way of framing your response.
Thank you. It was bad. I'm tired.
Just a lot.
Fuck.
Come come in with Olave.
Olave.
Just come in strong.
You're right. God
Why
damn it.
wouldn't you do it?
Can we do it again?
You're going to come in with this 51-49 horse shit. You spent all that time setting up a 51-49.
Pragmatism is just such a... It sells, buddy. You should see the people lining up.
You just kind of come off the top rope with Olave.
Our tagline at the Undroppables is pragmatism or something like that. It's really, vanilla ice cream. You know what I mean?
Come forward. You don't take, I guess I'll take.
No, Olave. You're right. It's Olave. He's going to be great.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Chris Olave.
What about
FT
that
dubs.
same question?
Yeah.
With Hockenson and Kittle. Who you got?
Why do you got to do this? Kittle's like my favorite player in the entire NFL, but it's got to be Hockenson. I mean, if you're doing a target projection, it's Hockenson.
It's got to be Hawk. I mean, the situation is so good. Yes, yep. I understand. George Kittle is the most efficient tight end ever.
He's great.
Okay,
but it's
cool.
Hockenson.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's also a run-first team with the best ancillary weapons around. So you need to be prepared to go to our rankings very soon because, again, Dario is incorporating 3-year projections into these rankings, and we're doing a big update. He happens to be in Columbia right now, so it's coming soon. Okay, but TJ Hockenson is probably, based on what I'm seeing, these early numbers that I'm seeing come in on my ticker. I have this little ticking machine that spits out paper with projections.
I got paper here.
Yeah, paper comes out, and I think that's a thing. That's a thing where it's like, yes, I understand. Kittle's great. He's exceptional. He's amazing. He's exquisite. Hockenson has not actually been in that tier when you look at yards per route run and target rate and all these things you'd love to see. But what he did on the Vikings, now without Adam Thielen, and what are they going to bring in? They're going to bring a rookie receiver? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Maybe they get to who do you think who does Minnesota draft on day one?
Day one? Day two.
Do they even have a day one pick?
Probably not. I think they probably will look at the Marvin
pick
Mims.
24. Pick 24. Zay Flowers is going to be gone.
Exactly. I think I would probably wait till round 2 and just go with a Mims, Rashee Rice type player. Unless there's one
enough.
of the.
That's not enough.
That's my point. Yes.
To displace
to move
targets.
Hockenson. That's right. No.
Hockenson's gonna be epic.
Yes.
Get ready.
And honestly, even if they were to draft those Zay Flowers, let's say he falls there, and it's like, oh my god, they got Zay Flowers. First of all, that'd be fucking cool.
That would be cool as hell.
That'd be so fucking cool.
So amazing.
Yes, I'd love all of that.
That's a dream scenario. I mean, to talk about a gaping hole at number 2 receiver.
Yes, but I think that suppresses KJ Osborne more than it moves Hockenson down. It will affect Hockenson, no doubt, but I think it hurts KJ Osborne more than Hockenson.
Yeah, KJ Osborne is a sneaky guy for any format where you start 3 receivers and or you have a second or third flex.
Yeah.
He's going to be in your lineup more often than he's not. Given that offense is going to be pass first. They're going up against the Lions, an improved Bears team. It's going to be a wide open conference. I'm excited for this NFC North conference. AFC North, also interesting. Irv Smith goes to Cincinnati. Breakthrough happening?
I doubt it.
Is he the tight end version of Terrace Marshall?
Yes. Which means they're both going to be bad. I love Irv Smith. I've wanted to, wish him into production for his first 5 years in the league. He turns 22 this year.
No, he doesn't.
I'm joking. He's like 24 though. He really is. He's
19.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So, but we've seen first of all, they didn't they give like money to like Josh Oliver instead of him? Didn't that really happen? That happened, right?
Josh Oliver could outproduce him.
Didn't that actually happen? Like
Josh Oliver's making more money.
That's what I'm saying. So like it wasn't like they got Josh Oliver and said, well, he's less, and so we're going to bring in Josh Oliver, and we can't afford Irv Smith. And no. We're going to pay Josh Oliver more money than Irv Smith. Something's not right with Irv Smith if that's the case. And Tyler Conklin was playing ahead of him when healthy. So there's a lot of issues there. So I don't know that Irv Smith just walks into Cincinnati and, is like, all right, dudes, see some targets. What's your name?
You know who Josh Oliver's best comparable to on playerprofiler.com?
No, but I'm excited to hear.
Hayden Hurst.
Oh, sorry. That sucks.
Isn't that funny?
I was hoping it was someone cool. Yeah.
I know. I mean, he's athletic.
I was just hoping it was someone
cool.
He's
more athletic than Hayden Hurst. He's a fun player.
He is.
He's kind of getting. He's a third-round pick, 87th
69.
percentile speed score.
Yep.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Yep,
not bad.
He's 69 to Jacksonville, and I mean, at that point, that was a bad situation. He's young. He came from a small school, San Jose State. He actually was coached by a good friend of mine, youth football. So Josh Oliver, hometown hero. Let's go, baby.
So wait, what's the inside scouting report?
I mean, the kid's legit. I mean, he's got prototypical, traits, in terms of, he was a receiving tight end in college. I mean, he put up big numbers. Again, a small school, but he's just a backup player at this particular point. But I mean, if something were to happen to Hawkinson, they did pay him. So I just wonder. But when he was drafted, I thought he had a little bit of a prototypical, profile, right? I mean, just size, speed, athleticism. They now coin him as a blocking tight end, which I find interesting. So if he is actually a good blocker, that actually portends to the fact that he could be Exactly. Yeah. It could be a 3-down tight end in the NFL if something were to happen. And
he had over 100 targets in his final year in college. I love it. In tight end premium leagues, Josh Oliver needs to be drafted.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And are we going to ever learn? Because I see a bunch of these guys in this draft class, these tweener types, these move tight ends. This guy's a great move tight end. This is one of the better move tight ends I've seen. Laporta and Kuntz and down the line. It's like, the 240-pound tight end is a failure in motion. What are you thinking you're going to get? It's like, no, they'll play him in the slot. I mean, it's every year. And Irv Smith was the guy, right? He was the guy that was getting drafted early from Alabama with the incredible 40 time. I mean, that was the guy, right? If anyone was going to be that guy, the move tight end to end all move tight ends, it was going to be Irv Smith. And even Irv Smith couldn't happen.
Right.
And likely won't happen.
Won't happen.
Please, by all means, talk yourself into these other tight ends. Do you just tell us, give us your top 3 rookie tight ends.
Dalton Kincaid, tight end 1.
Okay.
You like that?
246 pounds.
Yeah, that's fine. That's enough. That's the same weight as everybody else's tight end 1.
Keep going.
Okay. I am flirting with Musgrave over Mayer, but I won't need to do that. So therefore, I'll just allow Musgrave to be tight end 3 and say Mayer's 2.
All right, so you have basically the same top 3 we have, except just a different order.
Yeah. I just think Kincaid's a more special receiver. And, if he can get on the field, it's a little Dulcich-y. But I think he's a better, all around, receiver, especially possession receiver than Dulcich. I hate to be film guy, but just turn on that USC game and watch him. I mean, he was the alpha receiver in that game. I know that USC has some problems in the linebacker core, but he did go for almost 300 yards. So he did exploit a weakness. I just think he's a really good receiving tight end, and he's going to get draft capital. And if he can find an offense that could utilize him, again, the tight ends are tough because they take a while to develop and show as fantasy assets. So I'm kind of betting against all these tight ends in a rookie draft.
Yes.
Right. That's the real thing that you do. And then you just take them as they fall to you. If there's a tight end that falls your way, at a good value, you can push the button. But I'll just take the late ones, all the late ones. Someone wants to take Darnell Washington, I'll just take all the late ones. Sam Laporta and all these guys late. I'm happy with it.
The biggest, most athletic of all these guys is Musgrave. So we have Musgrave at tight end 2. That's all I'll say.
That's great. And I'd be fine moving, Musgrave ahead of Mayer even. It happens every year. The consensus, not every year, it happens often. The consensus tight end 1, everybody puts him up, is not the actual tight end 1. Kittle wasn't the tight end 1. Kelsey wasn't the tight end 1. Andrews wasn't the tight end 1, right? Hawkinson was. Goddard probably, I think he was. But, a lot of these guys don't. He was not. Who was ahead of him? Someone.
It was someone else. It wasn't him.
Someone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these guys are often not the tight end 1. I'm not thinking of that class. So sorry, I don't have it on fucking in my Rolodex.
It wasn't Hayden Hurst, was it?
Well, he might have been drafted. I'd have to look it up. I literally would have to look it up. I can't remember.
Goddard was not the first drafted. It was the 2018 draft where Goddard was drafted.
Look. But a lot of times these guys aren't the tight end 1, and so,
oh my God, I'm so good at this.
Who was it?
So good.
Hayden Hurst?
God, I'm good.
But Hayden Hurst was...
man.
Was it Hayden Hurst?
Just when you thought you were struggling to remember whether Marvin Mims came out early or not, it was still bothering you. You pull Hayden Hurst.
There you go. You're back.
Pick 25 to Baltimore in 2018. Oh, that was good.
What about though? In dynasty drafts was like rookie drafts was. I don't think Hayden Hurst was over Goddard though. Right?
No, but Mark Andrews was.
Mark Andrews, yeah, yep.
Yep. So no matter where you look at it,
one of them wasn't.
If you looked at fantasy, it was Andrews. If you looked at the NFL draft, it was Hurst.
Right.
But now it's Andrews. Even though, so it's actually the next 2 guys off the board ended up being much better than Hurst. And this is what this is the best evidence to back up what you're saying.
Yeah. Musgrave was interesting because you just pointed out he's got this, he's got the body, he's got the athleticism. And the one thing that if you look into his profile, you say, well, where was the production? I mean, he got hurt this last year. He only played like 2 games. And in those 2 games, he put up almost 200 yards. So this could have been his opportunity to break out. You know what I'm saying?
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. And you know what? He has a Kelsey type personality.
Yeah.
He has a larger than life personality. Personality goes a long way.
I also got him in the player profiler versus Undroppables draft, just so you know.
Great job. Personality doesn't really go anywhere, but that's just it's a Pulp Fiction quote.
That's right. We could do a Pulp Fiction pod if you want. I'm in.
Really?
Yeah. Love it. Best movie of all time.
It's really, really good movie. It holds
really
up better
good film.
than all. I mean, that and Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. It's fantastic.
Unbelievable.
I
can't drink a glass of milk ever again.
Right.
I'm done. I used to enjoy with a cookie or 2. I used to have a nice glass of milk. Never again.
No, you can't do it.
Never again. Just changed my whole, can't do it. Now, final question. This is becoming a consistent final question, which I think is a good one. DJ Moore.
Yep.
Better off?
I'm sorry. I don't think so. I know this one hurts you, but it's the pass volume. That's the problem. It's the pass volume. You can give him a great target share, but a great target share of a diminished pass volume is always less. And I recently made a move for DJ Moore, and I still am okay with it. I traded, I think, I don't remember, like the 113 or something. It's a 14-man draft, 14-man league. I traded the 113 for him. I think it's still a good trade. I don't hate it, but I'm not. So I technically bought DJ Moore, but I think I'm more of a sell
trade.
Of course. But I think I'm more of a sell DJ Moore than I am a buy. But yes, at the right price, yeah, I think people are fading him sometimes a little bit too far. So yeah, there you go.
Hamstring strain for Darnell Mooney. Then what?
Yeah, No, I think there's definitely an upside case to be made. I just think the floor is also a little bit scary with pass volume. So, you're going to have to we've got to see more pass volume from Justin Fields in order for DJ Moore to pay off. That's all I'm saying. And it's likely coming. We've seen these players like Justin Fields tend to improve as a passer. Otherwise, they can't stay in the league. They can't go 3-14 again. And for him to start, he's got to improve. But I think they will. They've got a good draft here. So hopefully they can improve. But they need to. He needs to improve as a passer. They need to throw more volume so that he can get home. I mean, that's that. He's just it's gonna be tough for him to see 1,200 yards this year.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Why am I such a bummer?
How do you think that went? That answer.
I mean, it's a bummer, man. This DJ Moore thing is a problem. He's not going to see the volume you want him to see, Matt. Sorry.
You think this answer is going well? Still,
you think DJ Moore is in a better situation this year than last year?
Yes.
How is he going to get there?
Every year that goes by, the ultra-mobile quarterbacks throw a little bit less, and this is going to be a very bad team. I believe that the pass volume in Chicago is going to be similar to what it was in Carolina. It's just going to be a better offense. They're going to have more sustained drives, and the throws will be more accurate. And because defenses are fixated on Justin Fields, when DJ Moore gets the ball, he's going to have a little bit more room to operate. A lot of these extraneous external factors and forces are going to help him. They're all going to be boosting him. It's all one big tailwind for him moving forward. And those that are just a little too fixated on parsing out the projections are the ones that are ultimately not going to be drafting DJ Moore as much as they should be in dynasty leagues, and shame on them.
So, Matt, last year, the team, not just Justin Fields, Chicago had 377 pass attempts for 2,200 yards.
That's right. They're going to triple it this year.
All right, you got me there. That was good. Yeah, I totally agree. 66. That's about right. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. There we go.
Get you out of here. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here, Jax. Get out of here.
I'm just saying, that's a scary fucking number.
It's not that scary. That was a moment in time.
All right. I'm with you. Let's go. I need it. I need some Justin Fields to DJ Moore in my life. I want it.
You got it. Saying. The trade happened. Enjoy life.
I'm ready. I want to be good. I want to be good.
Give us your the guy that you're rostering in all these leagues that you have stashed way down deep and you'll never give up on. Your truther guy. Give us a truther. Get us out of here with a truther.
Alberto.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you.